Hey, Fitzy here, back at it again with another one. Crusty got the main loop in her. That's a big undertaking. I had some troubles with the pipe bender again. I had to do some more modifications to it, but I got it figured out. And I made a simple little template to put it in place. And of course, the very first bend I makes was the wrong bend, but I got through it. So I'm going to show you how I did this, all the troubles I run into. So stick around. Alright, so let's move on to the next spot. In the last video, you see me making all this up. The framing and the mounts, the support and everything I made for the intercooler and the radiator. And the little mounts and brackets and everything I made for that. I got that done. I wanted to mount the sheet metal on the front of this car, but I said no, I want to get into the roll cage. So that's what I'm going to go out here now. I figured I get to start working on the cage itself. I'm going to do the main loop and see where we go from there. Because I got to do the main loop. And then I got to do the two bars coming forward, okay? And then I want to do the bars across the front. In the last video, a few of you noticed I made this section up here and people were talking about me putting gussets and everything in there. I forgot to mention, what I'm planning on doing when the cage comes down through here and mounts into here, there's a bar going to come out through here and it's going to go down and mount right here, okay? So that's going to tie that in, triangulate that. I might put a second bar in here that'll go this way. Not quite sure yet, but I do know I got to put a dash bar in her and also got to put door bars, but I'm not putting other door bars, nothing in it, or the back bar in it, or anything out to the back as of yet, because I want to be able to get inside this car. I like to get the main loop done and get the forward bars all done so then I can actually start fitting things. So I need the dash bar in it to start figuring out steering column, because that's what that's going to be bound to too. And I wanted the down bars down. I want to size up where the firewall and how that's going to mount and all that type of stuff, right? So I'm trying to work on getting all the mechanical pieces set up. Like I got the motor transmission mounted. I got the radiator mounted. Next thing I'd like to do now is set it up so I can get the steering column in it and get that mounted. And, you know, then I can mount the dash, get that figured out, and you know, get the shifter mounted. I usually, what I do is when I make a draw shaft loop, I usually use a bracket off it and I mount it to the shifter. For the shifter, I don't like just bolting the shifter to a steel floor. I like having a plating system underneath to give it strength. And basically, I put like a little piece of plate there and probably taps it. That way you can bolt it down the floor. So you haven't got sharp sheet metal screws hanging down underneath the car, anything like that. And you get a tendency to bang on it a lot, so you want to have solid, right? Want to get that done. I got to get a sway bar in the back. I got to eliminate this section here. I think I'm just going to run a bar across here to cut that out and eliminate that altogether and just plate the ends of it. That's usually all I ever done with them. But getting ahead of myself, what I'm going at here now is we're going to make the main loop, okay? Now, all I do with these here, I do it a lot different than a lot of people do. A lot of people take angles and measurements. I make a template, okay? All I'm going to do is I'm going to take my measurements, how wide it is here, how wide it is here, how high it is, and take all the measurements and I'm going to bring it over and put it on a large piece of board, and I'm going to cut out the shape so I got a template to go by, so that way I can lay the bar into it. Once I know it fits inside the cardboard template, it'll work, okay? Now over here, this is a large piece of board. When I put the sheet steel on the walls, a lot of you probably never noticed that. On my entire garage, this is 10-foot walls, and they're all made of wood. And I have galvanized steel on the bottom side of it. When I bought a bunch of that, it came with these sheets of steel, okay, or the sheets of board in between so many sheets of it. So I got a couple of sheets out of it, of this stuff here, and I've been using it for cutting things out. So what I'm going to do with this here now is I'm going to draw the actual roll cage on this here. I'm not going to worry about curves and bends. We're going to be all sharp edges all the way around, okay? I want to have a point that I can measure to, okay? I don't want to worry about the rolls and that yet, okay? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come over from this here, because this here is broke off here. I'm going to come over from about here somewhere, and I'm going to measure the distance. When I figures out the distance on the bottom, I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to draw a line here in the middle. So just for argument's sake, say it's 48 inches. I'll come over 24 inches, I'll mark it here and do a right angle line right up through the middle of it. Then all my measurements are going to be measured off of that, because the roll cage don't go up straight and square and stuff like that. It'll probably might kick out and it might kick over and stuff like that. So when I measure to the points that I pick on the car, I'll turn around then I'll just measure from the center point there when I got the full measurement, when I measure right across. I'll just show you. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a big box, okay? I'm going to find my overall measurement along here that I want it and my overall height to the middle of the roof. So I'm just going to need this measurement here, out to there, which is 50.5 inches, okay? And I'll measure from the center here up to the highest point on the roof, which is, you can see it, 41. I'm going to say 41 inches. So here's what I got. I went and turned around, I got my bottom measurement, and I got my height. And I just measured off a square, okay? That's all I did. That's where I'm starting to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave here and I'll go over and measure up this height here. And I'm going to find out what that is. And then I'm going to come back and mark that. And then I'm going to find the distance from here to here, how wide it's got to be. It may be wider than it. You don't know, okay? The first thing I got to do, though, before I do that, is I'm going to have to find the center here of both of these here and measure up off of that, because whatever measurement I got here, I got to cut it in half. Now, I can probably run it off of this here if I notice how wide it is. And it's wider than that, I can just divide it or subtract, take an inch off here, add an inch here type thing, right? I can do it that way. But I said I was going to put a right angle through there, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'll get that drawn, and I'll get these measurements here. Now, the next measurement I'll take will be the height to this bend here. I'll take this height here, and I'll take a point, and this one here is pretty straightforward, it's 24 inches. So let's put 23 inches to the bend here. And what it is the pipe is going to come up here, and then it's going to bend over. So I'm going to measure that up here, and that'll be 22 inches, 23 inches. I'm going to say 23, that'll keep it tight. Then I'll measure from them two marks that I have on both sides, at the same place on both sides. I'll measure that one there. That is 51 and I'd say a half, yeah, 51.5. So I got my measurements, I got the 23 up, okay, on both sides, and I marked it across there, and I marked it across there. Then I went back into the car and I measured from that point to that point on the car, and I come out with 51.5, okay? Now remember, I measured the bottom, it was 50.5. So it's 1 full inch outside of this. Now if it was a bit different or in here a bit more, I probably would have measured off center, but it's only 1 inch, which is only a ½ inch. So I'll measure out here a ½ inch and mark it, and I'll measure out here a ½ inch and mark it. So I went ahead and I marked it out there a ½ inch on both sides, okay? And then I drew a line from the intersection line down to the inside here. Now the next measurement I got to measure is across the top here, which is, I'd say 41 inches. Then I went ahead and I measured the top, and it was 40.5 inches across the top. That would make it from the center line to here, it would make it 20.25. So I used that measurement there, 20.25 on both sides. Then I measured it to make sure that that was 41.5. I made sure that the distance from here to here was the same. And I went ahead then and I marked them. So now I'm going to join that point to that point. And I'll take this point and join it to that point. So now you can see that it joins from there to there. And over there is the same thing as joining over there. So now this is what you got, okay? Is this set up here? Now, is this going to fit? I don't know, because it may be a bit tight up here. I may have to lower it down. But what I got done here, I got symmetrical measurements from the left to the right, okay? So now I know that this side here is the same as this side. So if I fits it in there, and I got to take an inch off of this side, I'll take a ½ inch off here and a half inch here, and I'll do it that way. So that's how I'll do this. But this is where I'll start to. The only thing I got to do is now, is in the chassis in the car, is where I got with the roll cage. All this is in the way. So I'm going to measure over here and just cut a block out of here now, just so that I can fit the template into the car once it gets a cut. So I'm going to measure this distance here, measure it up the height of it, and just cut the squares at the center of it so I can fit the panel in there, so I can actually size it all up, see how it fits. So I went ahead now, and I got that marked in. It was 8 inches and 8 inches. And I'm just going to cut this entire center section out of the way, and this will stand up on this here because it's nice and rigid. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a skill saw, I'm going to do a bit of woodworking here. And I'm going to turn around, I'm going to cut it up along this line here, follow this line here. I'm going to leave the line if I can, do the same thing up here and across the top, and cut this section out. and have that, and then see if it'll fit in the car. That's the first thing. Here you go, I have it all cut out, and I even managed to cut into my stand. I can't even have a skill saw in my hand, I still want to cut steel. And I got this cut out, that saw and saw blade, I got that for cutting up firewood, so not to worry. It's not a big fancy blade on it. But anyway, I got this cut out now to go do a quick test fit on it and see how close it is. Something tells me it's going to have to be cut back in these corners a bit and cut down a small bit. That's all I think. But I figure here should be good. And it's just up along the top there. I figure I was going to do some work on it. So let's do a quick test fit. Okay. I got to bring it up some more. Like I said, I got to work on the top. So I got to cut another angle on that now. I might just cut that, because that's almost a 90-degree bend there. I'll measure in 2 measurements on that now and bring it up the sides. I'm happy with. It looks good, and I think it's going to be close to the... I'm trying to have as tight to the car as I possibly can, because that's what I'm after. I'm taking the body off this to actually weld the cage, so I haven't got to worry about welding the top of it and stuff like that. So let's get this figured out now. I'm going to measure from there to there. Okay, all right. Playing around with it here, I went and laid the pipe on it to see where it was to, in reference to the angles and whatnot. And what I did is I come up with this I measured from here 3 inches, here from 3 inches, and I cut down an angle. I like doing it this way here, so that way I got symmetrical measurements, simple measurements. You could take this and try to make it round and all that type of stuff. But if I have some measurements that I can actually go off, everything stays the same on both sides when I go to do a template, and it just got to fit inside there, because when this bar pipe is laid in there, all I'm after to do with it is to have it so it just lays like so, like that, so that when I lays it on the ground, and I can fit it in here, and I'll fit it in across this one here, like so. If I'm happy with that bend there, and it'll fit inside here, and it'll fit inside here, I'm good, okay? So that's all I'll end up doing. So that's all I did. I did both sides. Now I'll limb them off, and I'll go test fit it again and see what it's like. So here's where I'm to now. I got to put in her, and you can see that it's touching the roof right here, okay, on both sides, okay. Now down here, it's hanging down underneath the bar, a 1 inch. Now, when I took the measurement, I took it from the middle here, okay. Now the roof do roll out on the edge. I knew that was going to happen, so I just wanted to do this to start somewhere. So all I'm going to do is, what measurement I got down here is about 1 inch. From this point here up to here, I'm going to measure up 1 inch, okay. Measure down 1 inch from here, and marked it across there and cut the top right off it. And then I'm going to measure down here, down 1 inch, and I'm going to cut that on that angle again. So this angle stays the same, okay? That's my whole point, that I just wants to move the whole thing up. That's what I'm going to do with it, right? So I'm going to go ahead now and take this out and cut 1 inch off the top of this here, and cut the side off it, and then test fit it again. So I went ahead, I measured down 1 inch, and I got it marked across here. Then I come over here, and I cut this on an angle. Where did I get the measurements from? This is what I went and did. I turned around and I went and put the piece of marked board back in place there. Now it's been cut off because of the blade. And I measured over to here, this spot right here. Okay, and I drew the line on it. Then I measured from that point down 3 inches, and that point over 3 inches, and I marked it. And then I did the same thing over here, from this distance to this distance, 3 inches, and this distance to that inches, 3 inches. So now I'll cut that off, and test fit it again. I'm very close, still rubbing a small bit here and here, but these are the only spots that are rubbing. They're not going to be interfering with it. And all I went and did here now is I got this piece of pipe, and I'm laying this in place here, putting it across, and lining it up as such, and I'm marking it. And I'm flipping it over and doing the other side. Then I'm going to take the grinder now, grind this off. I want to keep it as high as I possibly can, because every time I cuts it down an inch, it throws everything out of whack. I'm trying to have it as close to the ceiling as I can. So now that I'm pretty well close, I'm just going to turn around and grind these two corners here off here now, and just round that off so it's shaped like that there. Do the same to the other side, and test fit it again. So I'm finally happy with that there. She's touching here, and she's touching over there, and she's not touching anywhere else. I want that like that anyway. I always having some touch on the body there. But I'm happy with it, the distance around it, just the angle of it when you look down across it, how close it is to the shape of the door post, and how tight it is to the ceiling up here, nice and tight. That's basically the key of it. I've always done it this way. It's a lot easier. Now I can go out on the floor and I can bend it, and if it fits inside that template, it's going to fit in the car. Okay, so that's the key to it. A lot of times you try to bend it up and try to fit it in the car, bend it up and fit it in the car. No, I have made something like that there. It's pretty simple. Just use basic math and you know, figure it out so you can turn around and you can have a template to lay your roll cage into, and you can get all your fitments and everything and figure it all out then. Because I know now that if I bends up the roll bar and it fits tight inside that template, it's going to fit nice in the car. Okay, it's been a few days since I've been out here at the garage at my own car. I've been busy at this one here. I got to do some work on this here. I'm not going to get into detail on this. I want to get this car done and out of the shop. It's owned by a friend of mine, races here locally. Big tire car, Pro Street. I got to do roll cage work on it. This is a scoop I made a number of years ago. It was a factory fiberglass hood with a 4-inch cowl, and I raised it up 9 inches, and now I got to raise it up another 2 inches. I think I'm just going to raise it this way. That's all I'm going to do. But I'm not going to get into details onto that one there. I want to get this job done. So I won't be doing much videoing on that there. But back to the problem at hand. I've been playing around here trying to get stuff figured out, and I had to make a tool. The Fabrication Series is a very good series on YouTube for tube bending basics, okay? I got a link in the description right here. And also have it in the description at the end of the video. He talks about making one of these here cheaters, he calls them, I think he called them. And all it is a bend, okay? And he marked it off 1 inch, okay? And then he turned around and he marked where the bend starts and where you mark it on the die. And what I went and did is this will be my starting point right here, okay? This is the point that I'm going to mark everything to, and I'm going to line it up right there, and that's where my bend is going to start. 1 inch past that is where the bend starts, okay? Which is this bend here. So I got a slot cut in that there so I can take measurements like so, okay? This is all stuff I got off his channel. It's very good. And I got all these marked with the grinder, all these 1 inches, and I converted over to the other side, okay? So I got every inch marked. So in between the bend, right here, this bend here, there's 8 inches, okay? There's 8 inches in this bend. So when you're measuring off a straight piece of pipe, you can add 8 inches for a bend, okay? That's the way it's done that way there. I also, here on the sides, you can see there's more marks. Now, starting from this end here, this is every 10 degrees. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Now, I got a problem with my machine that I has to put it at 93 degrees in order to get a 90-degree bend on it. I'm still playing with it, still trying to figure it out. But I don't know that if these degrees here got to be a few degrees to more to be actual, like a 45. Is it 45 or is it 47, 48 degrees? Okay? But it's in the ballpark. It's below where I would have to bend it, okay? So I got this made up, and I've been taking a lot of measurements, okay? And been doing my homework on it. It's been a while since I've done a loop. I never done any bending with one of these benders before, okay? So I'm teaching myself here as well, because I used one of them old pipe benders for years for making roll cages, the ones that just pushes in the middle. Yeah, people call them kinkers, but I managed to make roll cages with them, not a problem. Anyway, so what I got done here now is this is my template, I got everything marked here, okay? I went down here, I laid this in the corner like so. As you can see, I marked it here and I marked it here, okay? This point here is where the bend starts, And this is where my measurement starts, okay? So my measurement starts here, okay? So I got my center line here. So I measure from here to my center line. That's my first one, okay? Now from here to here, I got 8 inches. So I adds 8 inches here, and then I take my neck measurement down to here, okay? And I mark that measurement same way. I just use this here. I lay this in place here. And as you can see, when you line it up there, it goes. Now right here, it's got 10, 20 degrees. Now if you look straight down, it lines up at 20 degrees there, okay? That's 10 degrees, 20 degrees. And then it starts to tip in on the pipe, right? So that's 10 degrees, 20 degree bend. I went and checked it. It's 17.5. I had this little degree thing that I picked up the other day at Princess Auto. It's a neat little thing. You just open it up there, and it's digital. Of course, I had to get the digital one, right? And you just turn it on there, and you zero it out. So zero it out there now. I just turned it off. Zero it out. There you go. And then all you got to do is you can just change that. It's upside down, so we'll turn it around this way here. Change that there, so it's upright. And I can put that on angles, okay? By putting it on angles, it actually shows my angle, see? 26 degrees, which is pretty, it's a neat little thing. It was on sale, got it for $20, 23 bucks or something like that. So I got that there. That's what I've been doing, taking a lot of my measurements from. And so I got my marks all laid out, my measurements, my distances between each one that I got to mark, okay? And I got that all set up there now, and those are my angles. This angle here is 67 degrees, this angle here, okay? So I got an idea of how much of an angle I got to bend on the bender, and I'll use the degree wheel. I'll put it at 67 and see where it lies, and I'll test fit it on the template, okay? So it's a mirror of both sides, okay? All the measurements over here are the same as the measurements over here for the roll cage to look right in the car, okay? So I done the same thing over here, got all that done, okay? Now, I had problems with my bender when I was making this cheat pipe, okay? I started making another one, and this is what happened, okay? She started to pull the bracket I had for holding the pipe in place, okay? She started to pull that. That's what it's supposed to look like, and you can see that it's after going right narrow right here, see? So I ended up having to do more modifications, and I made this bracket here. It was a bit tricky. I just bent it around a large piece of pipe and shaped it and got it. Like, I went online and looked at a lot of the professional pipe benders and everything. Now this is a cheaper line, okay? This pipe bender is half as much as one of them benders, okay? The dies are a little bit different. The way it's all put together. This is something for a hobbyist to pick up. If you don't mind having to do modifications and playing around with that, that's fine, okay? But if you're one of these people who just wants to jump right into pipe bending, you might as well just go out and spend the money to buy a machine that can handle, that you can just use, okay? I enjoy playing with tools and stuff like this. I couldn't justify myself going out. It would have cost me, I'd say, for sure, twice as much as what I paid for this here, okay? I'm making do with this here. It's going to work fine. I played around with it. I haven't got no issues with it. I had to modify the die here, and I had to modify this here so far, okay? Everything else for me, I'm quite happy with. Everything seems to be working all right, as long as I can get that roll cage made for that, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, what I got done, what I'm going to do now is I got over here, I got a piece of pipe taken out, and I got it cleaned up. And I made my measurements. This is my center, okay? And then I measured off my center to my first bend, measured off to my second bend, okay? And those points that you just saw there are right here, okay? This point here, and this point here, okay? That's the marks that I got put over there. So all I got to do is line these points up right here in the bender, okay? Put the degree on it that it calls for, that I got there, and then it should fit that pretty good. I'm trying to experiment with this now, and like I haven't tried to make anything. I'm trying to do this once, this loop, okay? That's why I got this template. So I'm going to go ahead now, take my pipe, and I'm going to put this first bend in it and see what it's like. So I got the pipe in the pipe bender, and down here, You can see in here, I got my mark put here and I'm lining it up with the die, okay? So I got that set up there now. I got strain put on it. She's set up in 0 degrees here. I'm gonna go ahead now and bend this at 67 degrees and see what it is. Okay, got it bent. Mistake number 1, I bent it on the wrong side of the bend, okay? But I started in the center of the pipe, so I do have excess on either side. It's just that now all these up here got to change. It's very hard to try to get yourself figured out on this. I should have marked the pipe, my mistake. I should have marked the pipe pointing this side here. Got to be, you know, you got to be able to see this mark here or something like that. So that had to be outside the bend. The problem I had is that I put that in line there up in the bend and I was supposed to put it in the other way. So this here side was in the bender itself and not this side here. And I got everything folded up now. All my measurements are no good. But all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lay it in place here and do my marks this way. And mark it off the template that I got here so I know where the bend's got to be. I'll mark it here and I'll bend it and I'll mark it there. Not going to worry about the center line. The only thing with it is now I put that at 67 degrees and it still needs more. So according to my bender, 3 more degrees should be able to put this at 67. So I'm thinking that some little thing, quirk or something's on the go. I'm probably going to have to start my pointer back 3 degrees past before it, or I'm just going to have to add 3 degrees to everything I do. So if it calls for 70, put 73 in it. If it calls for 60, put 63 in it. So, you know, I'm still playing with it, trying to get it all figured out. It's, you know, it's a learning curve, and everybody makes mistakes. Just luckily enough, I was going to start this at one end and shorten one end of it. Lucky I never, because I started right in the middle and I would have ended up with 2 pieces on the end like this. Now I'm going to have a larger piece on the end on one end and a short piece on the end on the other end, because I lost 8 inches right here, okay? So I got to add 8 inches there and take off 8 inches there. So I got that done. I'm going to put it back in the bender and put it another 3 degrees into it and test fit it again and then mark for my second bend. And make sure that I puts it in the bender right this time. So I bent it up some more. And I measured it up, and I got it set up. It fits right nice now inside my template, okay? And I measured up at 70 degrees. What I did, I measured it when I was in the machine, okay? And it was 75 or something degrees. And what I did is I set it up so that the needle showed 70 degrees. So this is a 70-degree bend, and I'm curious to see now when I put a straight piece of pipe on it where that needle falls to in reference on the wheel itself. So if I leave it there and on, it just comes back off it, and I measures off it. I might find a point, hopefully, on the wheel that I can actually mark it and use it as 0 and then go from there. Maybe that's something I can do. I don't know. The degrees are all right. To me, it's just hit or miss. There's some little thing that's quirked up with this thing here that I'm not getting an accurate reading on the degree wheel, on the degree here, compared to what is actually here now. It's 70 degrees here now, and it was shown, I think, about 75, 76 degrees on that there. So I'm going to wing it, is what I'm going to do. But anyway, I got this bend made, and I come over here then, and I marked it. Right where the next bend got to go, and put an arrow on it. That's all. This here has to go in. This side here goes in. I got to be able to see this mark and see that arrow at all times. And I make that bend to go around there, and that got to be put at 70 degrees. But the first thing I'm going to have, I'm having troubles here because the car's in the way. I can't put it up outdoors. It's not a very nice day out. So I got to unbolt this now and rotate it so that it turns in the opposite way, so I can actually get the bend on. So I'll get all this done, and I'm going to go ahead and get that there bent up and see what I'll come out with. So I got it all flipped around, went 180 degrees, bent it over this way here so I can actually swing it around here. The problem I'm having in the car is too close to me here, so still figuring things out how everything got to be set up here. But I went ahead now and I got this set up on the machine. I got it set up at 0 here. So it's parallel to this here. That's the main thing you got to watch, because if not, you're going to have one bar this way and one bar that way. So I got that done. And then I got this mark. I haven't got a lot of room to move around here. Too much stuff in the garage. And I got that one set up on my mark. Okay. And my arrow, you can't see it, is right here pointing this way. So I better make sure that is. It's not going to come out of there, but I'll double check it, make sure that my mark is there, pointing that way there. My bend got to start from that way there, but I'm almost positive it is. But I'll double check it. And then I'm just going to go ahead now and bend that. And I put it up here as at 0, and I never moved the needle, and it's right over here. There's 0 there. Okay? And there's, so I'll leave that there. I'm set at 0, and I'll go right over here to 70 degrees and see what happens. And there it is with the bend in it. That one worked out good. It fits right nice inside the template all the way around. Right? So my ideas went, and this here was at 70 degrees here, and I just left it alone, made one bend and got it. So a lot of it is just trying to figure out your machine and getting used to it and knowing what you got to do. And right, so, but I had it at 70. I never done nothing else with it and took it off, and there it is there, one bend. It's great when you know where that there. It just seems like 0 is way down here for some reason, and she loses it as she goes up through her. I see the stretch in it and whatnot. So I went and started here at 0, and I went to 70. So we'll see. I'll keep playing with it and see if I can iron out what the problem is. A lot of it is this die, I think. Well, no big deal. But I went ahead now and I marked these here. There's where my bend got to be, and there's my bend, okay? And there's my arrow pointing in this way here. One of these I'm going to have to turn the pipe upside down to do it, and the other one I won't have to. So there's the other one there. I got it marked. And you see the B for bend. So I got to bend that this way here, about 20 degrees, 16, 17 degrees, 17 degrees, 17.5, 18 degrees. So I'm going to do the same thing here, and I'm just going to send it up to, say, 17, 18 degrees and see what it is. And I'll do a test fit on it. So first thing I gotta do now is I gotta set that up in the machine and bend that one. There it is, done that at 20 degrees, and looks good. Fits best kind. Now fits inside the template nice. It's a little tiny bit snug here and here, so I'm thinking it's going to be tight putting it in. I don't mind that, hopefully. I can just tweak it a small bit. But I got a mark there now. See right here? Cut them off there. Cut them off there. See where the bottom of the board is too. I'll cut 2 of them off then. I should be able to fit this in the car. Let's give her a try. And there it is, fit in the car. It's very snug right here. I has to force it in place there, and it tucked in a small bit there. Small is nice the way I got it the way it's done there. And it rolls up along. I'm playing around with it. The height is the exact same height on both sides, but it seems to be a little bit snug here. I think that's the roof on the car, because this side of the roof was damaged before. So maybe a small bit lower there. Not very hardly noticeable, but I can see it. But I don't mind that. But you can look down the door post here. You can see how nice that fits. Actually touches down along there. And you can see where it sits on the frame rail there. Comes right up along the top. It's nice and snug there. And you look down the side of the post. You see it's parallel to that there. Looking through the quarter window. That's what you'll see. Right. I think I'm going to have it parallel to this. So it's a parallel line there. So it's got to be tipped back a small bit. I'll do that and then go up along the top there. Nice and snug. I'm pleased with that. It was a big undertaking trying to figuring out that new bender. Trying to get the angles figured out. Trying to do it in such a way. Making mistakes along the way. And getting it made. So It's a big undertaking. I got a handle on it now, what's involved with that bender, and bending up the pipe for this one. So I gotta sand that down, clean that up now, get that ready so I can actually weld it on there on both sides. I'll get them welded on there and there. And then I can move on to do these door bars next. The next bars will be coming up here, down through here, and in through here, and it will join on to this spot here. And what I'm going to do is, you look over here, is going to pass through the corner dash. I'm going to cut this section of the dash out of it, take it out of the car, and run it through. I'm trying to get the bar back as far as I can, so if I ever want to take the dash out of the car, I can. I'm trying to have it so that it passes through this part here more than the dash, and all I got to do is cut the corner out of the dash pad, but the dash will still fit in there, right? I'm trying to have a nice snug fit. I don't want a big gaping hole in the dash where the roll bar goes down through, see? So, but that's it. I got the loop made for Crusty. That's a big undertaking. I'll figure it out, and you can see how I may use a template to make it up, and had the troubles I had with the angles with that new machine. Like, you know, it works good. I got it rigged up now. It's got nice bends. The modifications I done to it works great. I just got to figure out this angle part of it. What I've been doing here now is I've been starting right here on 0 for some reason, and then coming right up here, and whatever angle I want it on, it falls on it, okay? I went and done that one for 70 degrees, and I set it up so it showed 70 degrees, and then I just came back and it showed here to 0. So I don't know if this here is wrong, or if there's something still not right, but it seems to be working all right, because when I says I'm going to put it to 20 degrees, I put it to 20 degrees with the needle starting here. So it's just a matter, like all these machines, it's just a matter of figuring out it's issues that it got, right? There's that piece that I made, just a piece of flat bar, just drilled a couple holes in it, bent it around the pipe, so it's nice and heavy now, so it's not going to pull through on the pin no more. So, but I'm pleased with that. I got that straightened away now. It's a big undertaking. So I think I'll leave this one here, cut this one short, because I got a lot of stuff here to be at. I gotta get back at this one now. I got some work to do with that, so I'm trying to work in some videos here. I haven't put out a video in last week, so I gotta try to get something out this week. And I'm trying to get this work done on this as well. So I got this made. I'm happy. So I'm gonna turn around now and go back on this one here. So I'm gonna leave this one here. I hope the tips were good, and until next time.